All right, welcome to Get It Done with JTB. Today's topic is virtual events. Let's get right into it. All right, virtual events. What are they? What good are they? How much do they cost? We will be touching on that. And what does the planning process require? So, if you're looking to get a handle on virtual events, maybe you're a meeting or event planner, hopefully you find this useful. All right, so what are meeting and event planners looking to get done with virtual events? And if you're here listening to this, likely you're already looking to leverage some of these. The ability to connect anywhere, the ability to energize your team and keep that energy going, especially important in these days. Being data driven, a lot of these tools have data analytics that go well beyond simple registration stats. And they open up possibilities to measure your success with your stakeholders as they interact with your program along more steps in the process. So there are many insights that can be garnered there. You can save costs, especially versus traditional events of a similar scale and complexity. Things like venue fees, logistics, accommodations, flights, these are cost categories that weren't necessarily central to your program. I call them kind of necessary evils in some sense. So we're seeing a lot of planners jump on the opportunity here to really centralize and optimize their budgets to what really matters and get more done with less. Sharing and promoting is also a very important benefit for virtual events that if you're doing a virtual event, you'll want to look to capitalize on. Another question we get quite frequently from planners is what types of events are going virtual? And the thing is, everything that you see on the screen here that looked like this yesterday, today looks like this. And so it's really not the type of event that's the limiting factor. And so what I do is I encourage my clients instead to ask, what are the types of interactions that are beneficial to your organization, that drive your success? And what do you need for those interactions to occur? So, depending on the complexity of those interactions, you might need to provide the right setting for it. And that goes into the thinking of what types of tools and platforms might be useful to you. All right, let's talk about pricing and budgeting by event types. We're going to give you some clarity here. Chances are, if you're a planner, I'm a planner. I share your pain here. You've probably watched a bunch of videos that give you a whole lot of nothing to go by. They always want you to get in touch for a product demo or so on. We're going to cut through all that noise here today. We're going to give you straight answers in terms of what are the market ranges, what sorts of budgets should you start with, because we know planners. And professional webinars, you've already attended a bunch of them. Probably you've even held a bunch of them. You know that you can do a lot for free with a tool like Zoom. But you can also do something, if you're looking to track data, make sure how you're progressing with engaging a community over time. There are tools that, unlike Zoom, evolved more out of webinar marketing. These are tools like On24 and BigMarker and so on. And we work with some of these platforms as well. So to give you a sense, these are typically monthly subscription models. Good ones range anywhere from about $50 to $150 a month, and there are some feature differences between them. Sometimes they're capped on how many people can join and so forth. Virtual meetings, this is a very broad term. What do we mean by this here is simply just more professional, more events and meetings that have more writing on the line. So the kind of things like national sales meetings, kickoff meetings, those types of things, even product trainings of some types that you were doing when we were still able to gather, you're going to be looking at budgets like mostly around $8,000 to $10,000 on upwards, depending on the platform used. It could be a lot higher. I've seen as low as $5,000. But I really wouldn't recommend that category. If you're doing this at all, you should do it right. And it'll cost around 8 to 10K essentially just to get this virtual ability to happen. The virtual conference, this is just taking it up a notch in terms of complexity. You might have some breakout sessions, some networking and matchmaking. That's a little bit different. There are other things that we use sometimes to build onto a platform that really are focused on increasing the value of that matching, that networking function within your event. So there's a little bit more expandability here, but let's cut to the chase. What kind of budgets are you looking at? You're looking at typically around $20,000 upwards to have any type of real proper feeling conference with some of those features added. And you're going to want to consider what kind of content you will create a little bit more, and you may have some costs on top of that, more so than a typical meeting. Moving right along, full production expos and special events. There are a few categories here. If you're looking to do some kind of a PR event or a marketing event, that is really more of a blank canvas where you have so many different tools. There's a lot of AR technology out there now. There's a lot of CG technology, things that have gamification, things that have the ability to generate social buzz, and so on and so forth. And those are going to look like your typical PR event budgets where you are paying for production quality. Within the more virtual oriented space, a lot of you that may be looking to shift from the physical space to the virtual with things like trade shows or industry expos, those are more the field for trying to optimize budget and save a little cost, because those platforms, there's a bunch of them out there. They range around 35,000 to as high as 150,000 or more. Again, for a full production trade show with multiple booths, even multiple gathering areas, and so forth. These are things that are typically much larger budgets you have to work with, but they do have some benefits over physical events beyond just the starting cost of the budgets as well, in that, for example, a lot of tools that you can have exhibit halls with a number of booths in them. If you're doing this in the physical space, you have to choose a venue and fill it with booths and sell those booths. Whereas with a virtual space, one of the benefits is often that you can start with 20 or 30 booths if that's you're fairly secure in filling those, and expand on that if you're able to sell more. So it's actually a mitigated risk category as well when you think about it. So definitely something to look into. Even if you're not necessarily looking to hold your trade show right now, you might want to look into this. All right, so how do you get a virtual event done? What does the roadmap look like? And here, I do encourage planners not to be too intimidated by the technology aspect. Yes, those are some of those technologies may be new to you, and you may want to allot extra time to deal with unfamiliar questions. However, the process itself is familiar. It's a project planning process where what counts is having the right team behind it, asking better questions each step of the way in order to get the best possible result. Things like platform selection, we've kind of already touched on. Choices like, do you have live content or recorded content, and what do you gain or what do you risk with each? Web and registration processes, and rehearsals and training. At this point, everyone has gotten used to meeting online. And what that means is the bar has been raised a little bit. If you are putting on a professional event and your speakers or you yourself as a host are saying things like, well, hopefully you can see these slides, or could you turn your mic off because you're echoing? That's a little bit unprofessional now, so you'll want to have the quality of a program management that prevents that. The operation and recording, I just want to touch on another very common mistake here, which is familiar to all of us. I share your pain, of course, as a planner myself, that we are often expected to execute everything on our lonesome. And if you are alone as the operator of an event, what that means specifically is that you're the one watching out for the progression, the audience engagement, technical difficulties, any kind of content sharing that's going on, guest speaker management. All of these things deserve and require focused attention. You'll want to have the right level of manpower to operate that event. And of course, JTB can help you there. There may be some people internally that you need to bring together as part of your A team. And post-event, sometimes you have some great moments in a event that you want to turn into recorded content to be able to leverage in the future as well. All right, that's it for virtual events. We got it done. I hope that we have been able to make ourselves useful to you. And if you're ready to start with virtual events and you'd like to start tackling this, please reach out to us with the contact information provided below, and let's tackle it together and have some fun with it.